from before, you see our connection. I'm also going to put in here some constants. For our driver class name is org.apache, derby.jdbc.embedded driver. We're running an embedded database system. Okay, I also want to have my database URL, which is my connection string, JDBC, Derby, computer DB is my computer database name. And then with create equals true on the end, the system will create the database if it doesn't exist when it starts up. Okay, I've decided to make this private also. And I'll just make a public static getter function to get my connection. So inside my main, the very first thing I want to have happen is to get the actual driver class loaded into memory. So this is going to load this driver class in memory right when the computer starts up. This can throw some exceptions. So we can add a clause on the main. Instead, we want to do a try catch on that statement. So it's going to try and do that statement. If it fails, it'll do a little log. But in addition, we want to put a message up our loading database driver. And if we can't load the driver, then the program can't run. So there's something terribly wrong with it at that point. So when I do an exit, and I'll exit with a 1 instead of a 0, and then a comment there so we know why we're doing that. So this tries to load our database driver. If it can't find it, that means there's something wrong with our library. It's not in the system when we go to run it, something like that. And then we quit with a little message. So I'll try that and see what happens. Select that as my main. So the program ran, which means that it loaded that driver into memory. I haven't done anything with it yet. I'm going to do that next. So if I get past this class.forName, the next thing I want to do is try and actually get a connection. So my connection is equal to the driver manager, Control-Shift-I, get connection DB URL. And this is my database URL. Okay. Again, we have an exception. So we'll put it within a try catch. So it's going to try and do that. Once it tries that, if it gets an exception, it means it couldn't actually open or create a database. So again, we want to quit the program. So I'm going to copy this part and just put it down here. Change the message. messages where we had an error connecting to the database. And we'll change this to a 2, just so these are different error messages. So an error message of 1 is couldn't connect or load the driver. Error message of 2, can't connect. Now, if this connection actually happens, it will create this database for us in our default project location. Okay. So that database will be empty. So we need to make sure and test it to make sure that it has the stuff that we want to have in it. I'm going to do that part after this init component. I'm just going to write a method called test database and have it create it for me. So down here is my private void test database. And we're just going to test to see if the database has the tables in there that we want.